In this video, we're going to go over Hyacine's full kit in detail, talk about how her abilities work, what kind of teams she might fit into, and whether she could actually change how we think about healing in Star Rail. I'll also share some thoughts on how she compares to other healers, what kind of stats you might want to focus on, and what we still don't know yet. So whether you're planning to pull for her or just curious how she works, let's break it all down. Save up to 23% on the current banners at lootbar.gg. All you need is your UID and server. The link is in the description. Hyacine is a wind-type character on the Path of Remembrance, and what makes her stand out immediately is that she doesn't play like your typical support. Instead of just throwing heals and buffs, she actually drains your team's HP and relies on this super unique summon called a Memo sprite, which in her case is named Ika. The synergy between Hyacine and Ika is the core of her kit, so let's break it down and really dig into how it all works and what it might mean for future teams. So, starting with her basic attack. It deals wind damage based on her maximum HP to a single target. This might sound kind of standard, but notice the scaling. It's not tied to attack at all. That already tells us her entire kit is likely built around stacking as much HP as possible, which we'll see later plays into both her healing and her team utility. Her skill is where things get more interesting. She heals all allies except Ika, her Memo sprite, by a percentage of her maximum HP. On top of that, it also restores Ika's HP separately, based again on her max HP. And yes, it summons Ika if she's not already out. There's a lot happening here. First, she's a party-wide healer with scalable HP recovery. But second, this separation between Ika and the team already hints that this summon isn't just a passive add-on. It's treated like a real entity with its own health bar and plays a huge role in how the team performs. Her ultimate functions very similarly. It restores HP to all allies, again, not including Ika, heals the Memo sprite itself, and also gives Hyacine a buff that lasts for a few turns. While the name and effect of this buff haven't been officially revealed yet, we do know that when this buff is active, all allies gain bonus maximum HP equal to a percentage of Hyacine's max HP. That's massive. It's not just a flat bonus. It scales directly with how tanky you build her, and that means she can potentially make characters like Blade or Mayday way more durable, while also enabling HP-based effects or follow-ups. Now here's where things get spicy. Her talent. Whenever Hyacine or her Memo sprite heals, Ika's damage increases, stacking multiple times and lasting a few turns. This means the more you heal, the more offensive pressure your summon builds. That's not something we usually see from a healer, right? In a way, she's turning sustain into DPS, which immediately puts her in this strange middle ground between a support, a pseudo-sub DPS, and even a buffer, if you count the max HP bonus from her ultimate's buff. Her traces go even deeper into this weird but interesting design. One of her traces makes it so that all of Ika's attacks always critically hit. Guaranteed critical hits. Imagine the consistency that brings. You don't even need to build crit rate at all for Ika. That means you could go full HP and speed on Hyacine and still benefit from Ika's reliable DPS. Speaking of speed, another trace boosts her healing the faster she is. Specifically, once her speed goes above 200, every extra point of speed increases her healing effects slightly, up to a cap. We don't know the exact numbers yet, but this basically encourages a speed plus HP build, which makes her feel kind of like Luocha, but way more focused on proactive healing and team synergy. And then her last trace gives your team a bonus to effect resistance. Even though the value isn't confirmed, we can probably guess it'll be around 10 to 20%, like other supportive units. It's a small touch, but it reinforces her identity as a support who's not just healing, but protecting your team in subtle, passive ways. Let's talk about Ika a bit more. This little guy isn't just cute, it's functional. Ika performs group attacks, which likely means it deals wind damage to multiple enemies on its turn. But what's even more clutch is that if one of your allies falls below a certain HP threshold, Ika will sacrifice part of its own HP to heal them. That's such an interesting trade-off. It basically means Ika becomes a reactive safety net that lets you take more risks, especially with HP burning comps. This brings us to her light cone, and oh boy, this is where things go full chaos. It increases the wearer's speed, but when Hyacine uses any of her moves, basic attack, skill, or ultimate, allies lose HP on purpose. At first glance, this might sound bad, but it's actually brilliant. Remember her talent? Healing equals more Ika damage. And now, using any move triggers minor HP loss across the team, giving Hyacine constant reasons to heal them up again and buff Ika even more. It's basically feeding her kit. Also, when Ika uses a Memo sprite skill, all enemies take increased damage for a few turns. That's a clear debuff support role, adding even more value to her Memo sprite's offensive side. So what kind of team do you even build with someone like this? It seems like Hyacine works best in HP burning comps, or alongside characters who benefit from having their HP managed, like Blade or My Day, and you're playing around consistent healing uptime. You could also pair her with characters who lack self-sustain and need reactive support, since Ika jumps in when things get dangerous. But keep in mind that she might not be a one-size-fits-all healer. Compared to Luocha or Huo, who offer more direct protection and cleanse options, Hyacine feels more experimental and specialized. There's also the question of how much damage Ika can actually deal. If the scaling is strong, and you're constantly triggering healing stacks, she might be closer to a hybrid DPS than people expect. But we don't know the full numbers yet, and that's going to be the deciding factor between her being decent support or meta-defining. What I really like is how much control she gives you over your team's health. It's not just about reacting to damage. Hyacine is actively managing everyone's HP like she's conducting a symphony of pain and recovery. It's a totally different style of play, and I think it's going to appeal a lot to players who enjoy strategic decision-making rather than just brute-forcing fights. Hyacine looks especially strong when paired with HP loss-based characters like Blade, My Day, and Castorise. Her kit naturally supports these playstyles. She constantly heals the team, boosts max HP, and powers up her summon Ika whenever healing happens. With Castorise, this creates a smooth loop where both characters keep each other going. And with Blade, things get even more interesting. Since he's getting a buff in version 3.4, there's a good chance his self-damage mechanics will become even more effective, making Hyacine a near-perfect match. She keeps him alive, buffs the team, and passively boosts damage through Ika, all while enabling aggressive HP-draining strategies. If you're already using any of these units, Hyacine feels like a natural fit. What do you think? Does this kind of drain and heal support appeal to you? Or do you prefer more traditional healers that just keep your team topped off without all the complications? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to know how you'd build her and what characters you'd pair with her. And hey, if you're planning to pull for her or test out her synergy with Blade, keep an eye out for future updates. We'll break down her full numbers as soon as they drop. Save up to 23% on the current banners at lootbar.gg. All you need is your UID and server. The link is in the description.